Thank you, Kelsey, for being here.
So today we're going to be talking about connection. And I am passionate about connection because I think we assume that we all know what it means, right? It's this term that we throw around a lot. Connect with your kids, connect with your partner, connect with your neighbor. Okay, that's wonderful. What does that actually mean? And how can I, as a caregiver who might be in the middle of a really difficult or stressful time, how can I carve out pockets of time to even think about connection, right? So I am a mom of two boys, and I am dealing with this every day. I'm thinking about this every day. So you are not alone if this topic is ever one you're thinking about. I do want to take a second to read this. It's one of my favorite quotes. I actually love it. It's not just something I put on the PowerPoint. Um, I had a really rough morning with one of my kids yesterday, and I honestly took a second to think about this. And it does help me, and I hope it brings you peace. I'm going to paraphrase. So take a moment and think about your children. Think about the kids in your care and how much you love them. If they're at school, if they're outside, if they're at a room nearby, just wish them well. From your mind and your heart, allow the feelings to overflow and send them a silent blast of love. In doing this, you offer children love and security by wishing them well, and you yourself welled up with love. And it's true, right? If you think about it, when we put good thoughts out there, when we take a moment to wish others well, whether it is the neighbor who is constantly leaving their bike in your driveway, whether it is your partner who maybe you had a really tough discussion with the night before, whether it's your kids and maybe they left in kind of a huff and you feel bad about it or not feeling great about it, take a minute to wish well, take a moment to offer up that love. It really, I promise you, it does help from one imperfect mom to another. So, what is connection? Connection is simply at the root our desire to offer and receive love. It is not something we have to buy, it is not complicated. It is simply just this desire to fill others with this love so that we can in return get it back, right? It's this push and pull. Okay, today I'm going to talk just briefly because we could talk for hours and hours about behavior and how it's connected to connection. And I would encourage you, if you want to talk more about this, call the warm line, schedule a Zoom, talk it over. Okay. So, what do we know for sure? We know that every behavior is a form of communication, whether that is a temper tantrum, whether it is a teenager rolling his eyes at you, whether it is your neighbor not returning your hello in the morning. Every behavior is a form of communication. Okay. So every time our kid engages in a behavior, whether it is positive or negative, they are telling you something, right? I'm sure we all have lots of examples of that. And then today we're going to be talking about connection and how connection, instead of rules, increases positive behavior and increases cooperation. It helps us create this family unit, whoever is in that unit at this time. We have rules, we have boundaries. Obviously, we need boundaries. Our kids need to feel safe. But I would argue that connection instead of rules works better. Okay. So why don't rules work? Rules don't work because we tend to be hyper focused on fixing the problem instead of focusing on the why, instead of focused on how we can connect with our kids, right? So the other day, I'm going to use a personal example. My children are older, they're 12 and 15, and every single night we load the dishwasher. It is always a rule. They load the dishwasher, I cook. Every single night they stomp their feet and they attempt to be sassy about the situation, right? Creating more rules around unloading and loading the dishwasher is not going to help. It's not going to make Cal instantly want to be helpful, right? But making a game out of it, figuring out why he doesn't want to load the dishwasher, maybe that's going to help. Maybe it won't, but maybe it'll be a step in the right direction. Rules oftentimes can focus on separation. We're sending kids to their room. We're having them sit in the corner. It's an us versus them instead of how can we figure out this together? What is the real issue here? So we could talk all day about rules, but I'll leave it at that. Today, we're going to focus on connection and not creating more rules. So do we believe this? Like, bottom line, do we believe that connection is important, or in your house, has that not proved to be true? So that is my question for you. Does anyone believe that more rules would work and connection? Yeah, it sounds great, but who really cares? So, and I think it's important to reflect on it. So again, I really would encourage you just take a moment and think about, okay, that sounds great, but do I believe this? What is the buy-in? The iceberg. Love the iceberg, and here's why. We see this much of the iceberg. We see the very top. That is our kiddos' behavior. That is what we're witnessing. I'm witnessing Cal not want to load the dishwasher. Okay. What is below the surface? It's crazy. There's a crazy amount below the surface. So when we feel disconnected, we're only going to see the tip. We're only going to see the problem. We're only going to be focused on stopping that poor behavior. But when we're connected, when we take the time to talk to our kids about why they don't want to load the dishwasher, when we take the time to really understand the behavior, we're able to see what's below the surface. Also, not to harp on the dishwasher here, but it is a hot topic in my house. It turns out my kid doesn't like the feel of the forks being loaded into the dishwasher. He's scared he's going to get cut. I had no idea. He's 12. So he really dislikes loading the dishwasher because he's afraid the wet silverware is going to cut him. I know this now. I can't fix it. We still have to load the dishwasher, but I can give that job to his brother who does not have a phobia of wet silverware. But if I was only focused on stopping the eye rolling, the sassy behavior, I would go another 12 years and never notice this and continue to talk about how Cal doesn't like to load the dishwasher. Okay, so why are we disconnected? I don't know about you guys. We get thousands of messages every single day about what we are supposed to do, how we are doing it, how terrible age 2 is, how grumpy teenagers are. There are memes, there are Facebook posts. Every day we are bombarded by media messages, bad or good. Okay, time. We don't have a lot of time. We are pressed for time. So some of you might be thinking, yeah, this is great. We can talk about connection all day long, but I am working until 7:30 at night. I am stressed. I am trying to put dinner on the table. I don't have time for these moments of connection. Also, I would argue there is a certain comfort we take in being distressed that we really have to work hard to break out of. With my girlfriends, I became aware that it's really easier to talk about what's going wrong with our kids and what's happening wrong in our families. And then we kind of start to engage in this cycle of complaining or venting. And it's hard to be the person to say, hey, wait a second, have you tried this? Or, yeah, but what's going on good in your life right now? So get out of that cycle. Be the person to say, let's focus on what we can change and what we can try new. Also, we really do have to believe that we are the adult, we're in control, and we can push for more connection. Okay, so why do we care, right? Why is connection important? At the foundation, connections build cooperation, and they can help create routines and rituals, which we'll talk about later on. Once you have routine and rituals, that builds more connection. So it's this beautiful fluid cycle. When we focus on connection, when we focus on offering love to our family, to our kids, to our neighbors, that is going to put us all on the same team, right? So instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, here we go, it is another night where Cal is going to complain about loading the dishwasher. It's my job to fix it. It's my job to get on to him. It's my job to figure out, what is going on and to set a timer and say, you have 15 minutes to get this done, right? That's me versus Cal. If I turn on some music, if I say, we're going to do this together, we do this every night, small little changes, he's probably still going to complain about it, but I am offering up love and I'm probably going to get more cooperation and love back from him. Okay, how do we connect? There are 4 different principles in conscious discipline that show us that this is how we connect with our partners, our kids. Eye contact, right? That's a given. When my kiddo walks through the door, I'm not going to be holding up my phone, texting, and I'm not going to say, oh, hey, Finn, how was your day at school? I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to look him in the eye, which is hard, especially if we have a history of trauma or, our kids do. This is tough. I think we just assume that eye contact is a really easy thing to do, but it is not. It's not always the first thing that pops into my mind because I'm busy. I'm doing 50 other million things. So taking a moment to look people in the eye when we talk to them, when we are in meetings with them, it shows people I care about what you say. I'm offering you myself, my eye contact, and you are going to give that back to me. It shows respect. Touch. Again, we hug our young kids so much more than we hug our older kids. I am not a touchy-feely person by nature. You might not be as well. I think I'll talk a little bit about later on what I have done to kind of work on that, combat it. Easy stuff. We don't have to do full frontal hugs with our teenagers. We can fist bump. We can do a side hug. We don't have to have kids. You might be touched out after staying at home all day with little kids. You might not want a kid to sit on your lap while you read a story. They can sit next to you. Your thighs can touch. You are ruffling their hair. You are, putting a hand on their cheek. You are, attempting to fix their collar. You're writing their hat. All of those small little touches matter. I think we just assume touch is someone sitting on my lap and I'm reading a book, or I'm hugging my kid when they walk in through the door. It's also modeling that in front of other people. When we meet somebody new, we shake their hand, or, we're showing our kids, this is how we greet someone. Presence. Again, we talk so much about being in our kids' presence, doing things with them. And if you're me and a working mom, this is hard. I can't be everywhere at once. I can't be sometimes as present as I want to be. I have some guilt about that. I think that, I've reflected, and this is a hard one for me. When my kids are home, I am present with them. I do not take meetings from 3:30 to 4 because my kids are coming home during that time. I am in their presence. I am asking them about their day. That's a very small thing to do. I'm blocking off my calendar. I'm saying, I'm sorry, I can meet you at 4. I can't meet you right at 3:30. Okay. Also, playful situations. Oh, this is a tough one for me. I'm not a fun person by nature. I can be loud. I love humor. I'm not a good playful mom. It did not come naturally to me. I had to really work on finding things that I could have fun with my kids doing. For example, imaginative play is very hard for me, but man, I can bake cookies and I can build Lego towers all day long. Kids need play. We need play. We need to try to have some fun in our day to carve out time. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that. So that is the 4 ways that we can connect. When I present in person, I have a huge poster. When I hold up this poster, everyone goes, oh, it's triggering, right? What is your first thought when you see this picture? To me, it's, oh my gosh, I have to make the baby stop crying. So Yvette, what are you thinking?
I feel like I just gotta wrap that baby up and rock that baby in my arms, or help that baby rest, or find, calm the sweet baby.
Right.
My baby boy was a crier. So yes, it's a big trigger for me.
Yeah. So you're immediately making that connection. This is my lived experience. This is what I did with my own kiddo, right? I would argue that most of us know how to comfort this baby. We are picking the baby up. We are holding him to our chest, or we're holding him in the crook of our arm. Our voice drops. We're shushing. If you're like me, you're immediately swaying, because that never leaves you, that the mom sway or the grandma sway. You're maybe touching the side of his face. You're offering a pacifier. You're offering a bottle. You're looking him in his eye. You're doing all of those things. You're probably not engaging in a game right now. You're probably not having a playful situation with a crying baby, but you're in his presence. You're having eye contact, and you are taking the time to stroke the side of his face, right? Okay, here's the next picture. What are our thoughts?
That he's sad, and need me to come over and say, what happened?
Yeah.
And then that'll start a conversation. I don't want to talk. Just leave me alone, and then you don't say nothing, you just let him vent. But yeah, when I see that looking like my granddaughter, that's the look that I say, what happened? And then the tears would come down, because she see that compassion that you have, or hear it, that compassion in your throat, that you want to be able to help her. Okay, so that's my take on it.
I love that. It's easier for some of us to comfort a baby than it is to comfort an older child. And it is easier for some of us to comfort an older child rather than a baby. And I want to if there's one thing I could offer you today, is just because you look at this boy or look at a teenager in your own life and you don't instinctively know what to do, that's okay. We can still find ways to connect. For me, it's much easier to comfort a baby than a teenager, because like I mentioned earlier, we hear a lot of messages about teenagers every day, right? Just as Nan was saying, like, we kind of just automatically hear that, not grumpy voice, but that kind of, I don't know, whatever. We kind of just instinctively have that script in our head that this is how this kid is going to answer. We often assume that teenagers are rightfully so, going through a lot and don't want our comfort or care. And I would urge you to keep trying. And I would offer up that most teenagers are screaming inside for someone to connect with them. So again, if I saw this person, we are walking over, we're probably not going to pick him up and put him on our chest. That would be inappropriate. But we're offering that side hug, right? Or we're maybe, respectfully pulling down his hood, or putting our hand on the back of his neck if he's okay with being touched, or we're touching his hand, or we're touching his backpack, and we're using a calming voice. We're not saying, oh, what's wrong now? What are we grumpy about today? Which honestly is sometimes my first instinct to do with my teenager. And I have to really work hard not to say that. Because we're all human, right? So we are in his presence. We're not overcrowding his space, but we are showing him, I want to connect with you. I want to be with you through this. Because again, when we say things like, what's wrong now? Or, oh, okay, another bad day for you, I guess. That rolls off my tongue and my head quite a lot. We are only concerned about the tip of the iceberg. We are only looking at the tip of the iceberg when we say those things and when we think those things. And, I would love to talk all day long about teenage behavior. I love teenagers. I think they're wonderful. But it's challenging sometimes. And we got some big behaviors. And I'm certainly not here to suggest that connection fixes everything. I think, there are some bigger issues sometimes going on, but it is a good place to start. So I would urge you to take a minute. There's power in the pause. I say that to myself all the time. So before those words roll out of our mouth, and before we are, we're seeing the iceberg and we're seeing the tip of it, and we're really annoyed, right? We're sometimes, and it's okay to admit that, we're sometimes annoyed that, oh my gosh, now I have to deal with something else. Now I have to deal with another behavior, right? But if we take a second and we pause and we first offer connection, you will, and it sounds cheesy, when we offer connection first, instead of that verbal, diarrhea that comes out of our mouth, we are welling up with love. We are filled with love, and we're offering it to them. It is not our job all the time to fix the problem, but it is our job as the adult in the relationship with any child to figure out how to connect. So I would start in one of those 4 places, and we'll talk in depth about that. And I would also say that it takes time to figure out what works with each kid. I have 2 very different kids. How I connect with them is night and day different. Besides those 4 principles, which no lie, I have those 4: eye contact, touch, presence, playful situations. I just have play. I have them on my fridge. I think it's valuable to see things as a reminder. But there are 2 other ways that we can, of course, create connection. And one of those is through routine. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about routine. I actually really dislike the word routine. And that's why at the bottom I have predictable rhythm. I am a big fan of how can I structure my day to create a predictable rhythm so that my kids know what to expect and I know what to expect as the adult. I think sometimes when I say routine, it puts a lot of people off. People say to me, I have no idea what the 5 to 7 p.m. block looks for me. Hey, I don't either. Sometimes we have baseball after school. Sometimes we have jujitsu after school. Sometimes I meal plan and then I burn the chicken and I don't even know what I'm doing for dinner time. A predictable rhythm states, hey, there's this chunk of time where I am going to feed people dinner, and we're going to look at backpacks, and we're going to try to remember to plug in the iPad for school the next day. We don't have to do things exactly at 5:45, but I even think for me, you heard the change in my voice. When I think about how to structure my day, it gives me a sense of peace. I rely on knowing what to expect, and our kids do too. That's not to say sometimes we can have a lovely plan in place, a lovely rhythm, and it all goes out the window. But at least we have it. At least we know every single night after dinner, we're going to take a minute with, in my house, take a minute with the kids to talk about the next day. Sometimes that's at 7:30, sometimes that's at 8 p.m. But we're going to talk through the next day so that they know what to expect. And those routines create connection. Okay, my absolute favorite. Connection through rituals. Rituals are these small touch points in our day that communicate love. And my absolute favorite thing in the world is to hear what other families do. I was talking to my friend this morning, my girlfriend on the phone, and she was telling me about a song they sing every time they go on a road trip. Okay. I would never sing that song. They do. It's fun. They ground us to the present. Rituals communicate to your child that you are their home and their safe space. They are things that we rely on. They're things that we do together, and they are fun. Okay. So rituals can be songs, funny sayings, family handshakes, or they could be as simple as every single night we sit down to dinner. Some nights we might be having McDonald's at the table, and some nights I'm going to cook some nasty chicken. And some nights I'm going to cook a lovely meal that I've prepared peacefully while listening to Spotify. It is the ritual of sitting together at the table. Okay. So we're going to talk now more about rituals, and I want you to be thinking, and I taught a class the other day, and this young mom raised her hand and she said, okay, yeah, that's great. I don't have any of these. And I said, oh, what do you do with your kiddo before bed? And she said, oh, her child is 1. She was like, well, we sit together in the chair and we read a story and I rock him. Ritual. Boom. You're already doing it. You're already connecting. You already have a ritual. And then she was like, oh yeah. And every night in the bathtub, we take a bath. He takes a bath and we play with this tugboat toy and he reaches for it. Ritual. We're taking a bath with the tugboat toy. Okay. They're not difficult. They're not hard. They're just, so I would encourage you to think, what are the things I'm already doing? And maybe could I create some new ones? And if you're like me, you've definitely had, as your kids grow older, you've definitely had to change some things. Okay, where do I start? If I've got little kids, here's where I'm starting. I'm jumping out of order here. Story time. I am a parent who loved reading to my kids. It was something that I enjoyed doing. They would bring me books. We had a basket of books. That is a ritual for you and your family. Maybe your kids, like mine, loved those terrible scholastic animal fight night books. It was painful to get through. We're still reading them. We're sitting together, or we're sitting side by side on the couch. We're having story time. As my kids got older, we read chapter books. My 15-year-old, we got to the 7th grade and he was still asking me to read out loud every night. And I kept saying to my husband, I kept hearing those media messages about teenagers. I was like, okay, Kurt, this is the last time. Like, he's not going to want it anymore. It's the last time. We just stopped reading together every night aloud the summer before 9th grade. I would urge you, do not assume that as kids grow, they do not want to do these things. Okay, balloon game. I am a fan of very inexpensive games you can play with your kids. When I stayed home with my kids, there was not a lot of extra money. I always could afford a 99-cent pack of balloons, or people I knew had balloons. You're bouncing the balloon back and forth. Balloons can't break anything in your house. Also, which is a huge plus for me. You can sing a song with the balloons. I'm bouncing the balloon, balloon, balloon. You're bouncing the balloon, balloon, balloon. You can make up a song about anything. Balloons are great. Every time my kids see a balloon now, we just went to Hy-Vee. Finn said at the store, remember all the times we spent bouncing balloons off one another's heads? I was like, yes, that was wonderful. Kids remember the things that you do with them. Sticker game. I love the sticker game. It's in Becky Bailey's ritual game. Get any kind of a sticker. And instead of your kids sticking the stickers to the inside of the car windows, or, maybe that's just me, you stick the stickers on your face. Sit in front of your kid. You're sitting in front of one another. You're having eye contact. See if your kids can peel the stickers off your face. I promise you they will love it. If they find one behind your ear, you can say, oh, you found the ear sticker. It's fun. You're giggling. They're giggling. They're going to stick them other places. The sticker game. Okay. Are we ready for the song? When my kids were 3 and 5, my husband builds houses. He's a framer. We made up a song about dad coming home from work. My kids, they make fun of it now, but they still sing this song. Okay. So we used to sing, Daddy's on his way. Daddy's on his way. He's hammered and he's hammered and he's hammered all day. And now he's home to play. Finn and I were playing catch yesterday. Kurt drives his big truck into the driveway. Finn is singing part of the song. I promise you, the songs and the ridiculous, and it sounds, I mean, I don't think I sound good. It's embarrassing to sing. You're thinking, I would never do that with my kids. They will laugh at you. Yes, they might laugh at you. I promise those are the things that they will remember. They will not remember the big trips. They will remember the dinners at home. They will remember that you let them bounce a balloon off your head. They will remember the silly welcome home songs, and they will still sing them. Okay, but you're like, Kelsey, I have teenagers. That's so great. I'm not playing the sticker game with my kids. I would urge you, just like I said before, believe that teenagers want you to connect with them. They do. They might laugh, they might roll their eyes, but inside they are screaming for connection. They are screaming for you to interact with them and you to connect with them. So please believe that your teen wants that. He might not want to play the balloon game with you, but I promise he wants to engage in conversation with you. Games and movement. We're a big board game family. You might not be. You might think of board games and think that is the worst thing that I have ever heard of. That fills me with dread. Fine. Laugh at the TikTok dances that other people are doing. Try to imitate them. You will look like a fool. Your kid will not. It's a great way to connect. Funny memes and sayings. I can't remember who I was telling the other day. This is my favorite thing about my 15-year-old is I hate a lot of things about the phone. I love sending him funny memes and texts. We love raccoon videos. You might not. You might think that that's absolutely ridiculous. The best part of my day is finding a new raccoon or a dog video and sending it to Finn. Come up with a family handshake. Do it the exact same way every time. My son doesn't love full frontal hugs with his father at bedtime anymore. They fist bump and then, I don't know, do the jellyfish thing. Okay. Every single night, that's what they're doing. If you're like me and it doesn't come naturally for you to hug people when they come through the door, set an alarm. I have a 4:30 alarm set on my phone that says hug Finn. When he gets off the bus, the alarm goes off. I hug him. Somebody once said to me, "Oh, that's so sad that you have to do that." Well, it's a good way for me to remember how to do it. What I want you to remember is that small moments matter. None of these have to cost money. It is the small everyday moments. If you try one of these and they do not work, do not say, "This is stupid. It's never going to work. I can't do this." Yes, you can. Find something. I guarantee you, you are already doing some of these things. You are already connecting. Let's just try to add one more. Also, you're the adult. It's your job to figure out how to connect with the people around you. And if you need help with that, talk to someone about it. You will not sound silly. It does not come naturally to a lot of us. Also, modeling matters. How can I expect my kids to walk through the door at school and greet me and ask me how my day was if I'm not doing that when my husband walks in through the door? Model behavior, model how we speak to others. Don't talk bad about the neighbors who leave their bikes in your driveway and you almost run over them every single day. You might be thinking it inside, but instead in front of your kids say, "I love that they're getting out and riding their bikes. Let's move them together. I love that those kids are having so much fun." You might be inwardly thinking, "This is terrible. I'm so tired of moving these bikes." If you can't tell, this is a common situation for me in my house. But we are modeling kindness. We are modeling connection. Does anybody have a goal? I also think this is really powerful. How are we going to connect with our child this week or next week? What is one thing that we can commit to do? Write it down if you want to, stick it on your fridge, tell a friend if you journal, put it on Facebook. Think of one thing that you can do. I promise you, when you commit to writing it down, it helps. Okay, I would love to, if you call the warm line and you say, "I love books," me too, and I want more of them, I would love to send you a list. I would love to send you links. We also have many books at ParentLink that I can mail out to you. These are some of my favorites that model connection. My current favorite is Wolf in the Snow. It's this wolf family and a little girl and the baby wolf and her, they both get lost and, they're finding a way to help each other get home. The Big Snow, Owl Moon, we're feeding all of the animals around us. We're going looking for owls. We're modeling connection, how we are connecting to nature, how we are helping others. Snuggle Puppy, I still could sing this song for you if you would like. Please don't everybody ask me at once. Again, it's right. Can you? You're nodding. Yeah. Snuggle Puppy, you're the one. It's a song. My kids sang it when they were 3. I still remember it. I love it so much. Cal was looking at this PowerPoint yesterday. He was like, oh my gosh, I love that book. That's so cute. He's 12. He's not going to go to school and say, oh, I love the Snuggle Puppy book. But in our house, he's like, oh, I loved that book when I was little. Okay. Finally, this is me with a beard, trying to figure out Pokemon, Zelda, and dragons, because that's what my 12-year-old is into. Do I like Pokemon, dragons, and Zelda? Absolutely not. Do I understand any of it? Absolutely not. When he's allowed his 15 minutes of game time, I'm sitting on the couch with him. I am being in his presence. I am saying, tell me about the weird Korok guy in the forest. Tell me about him. We also draw. Cal's a big drawer. We draw a lot of fake Pokemon cards. It's not my favorite thing to do. It doesn't matter. I'm the adult. I'm finding ways to connect with my kid. I would love to talk with you more about this. I would encourage you to call the Warm Line. We can talk through ways. I can send you materials. We can talk it over together. I think there is tremendous value in taking the time to think about what we're doing already and to think about some new things that we can do